Good evening, friends of Gawad Kalinga, friends of the poor. Welcome to another episode of Kwentong GK. I'm your host, Donna Reyes, and this evening, we are blessed to have a very special guest. Every week naman is a blessing with all the guests that we have here on Kwentong GK na nakikipagkwentuhan sa atin, with whom we're having conversations with. But tonight, it's very, very special. And it's a special kind of blessing because our guest for tonight is no other than the pastor of St. Walter Catholic Church and also the pastor of the Diocese of Joliet here in Illinois. Please welcome Father Mario Quejadas.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. How are you all? Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Father. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We know that you've been so busy. You just came back from vacation, I understand.
I just came back from visiting some relatives in California.
All right. So safe na ba? To travel and all that. I haven't traveled since the pandemic, so I don't know. I have no idea.
Ewan ko kung safe sila sa akin.
Well, hopefully, everyone is fully vaccinated, or at least taking precautions, right? So, Father, this month of June, we are actually featuring people who who are involved in the work of Gawad Kalinga, specifically in terms of promoting going back to the Philippines, participating in the Bayanihan Build, right? With Gawad Kalinga, building homes for the poor. And of course, you're one of those people who are leading groups of people for many years now. Has it been is it 7 years already?
9 years that I have.
9 years? Oh my gosh! 9 years. And you are leading
Matanda na tayo.
and you are leading students from
The Diocese
of Joliet.
Yep.
Ano ba to, Father? Are they all are they college students, or are they?
They are college students from our 3 Catholic universities. Lewis University, which is a De La Salle University, St. Francis University, which is a Franciscan university, and the other one is Benedictine University, which is Benedictine University, like San Beda in the Philippines.
Yes. I went to St. Scholastica's Academy, Father, from my high school.
Baka mabait.
Diba? Twin ni St. Benedict. Yeah. So Father, how did you start with this work? 9 years ago.
I was really invited. The one who started this is Nathalie Basie, which was the secretary of 2 of our bishops.
Yes.
And she was already in her 80s when she was doing this for already like 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
And so we have built relationships with GK Negro. And one time she has asked me to go, and that was also the time that our bishop went with us. So there is a picture of our bishop that I have there. The old man Bishop Conlon. That's working. I don't know if they can see it. So every year, we on the start of the school year, we ask the students to apply because there's an application process for this. Because we couldn't take everybody. We only take about 20 to 30 people, college students with us, and probably of 100 people that apply, we get about like 20% passes through the application process, and then they have to come through formation sessions, and they have to come up with $2,400.
Yes.
$2,400. So a lot of them are getting like second or third jobs to be able to come, and that pays for the accommodation, for the food and lodging, and for the construction of the house and the airfare. And so we leave around New Year's and sometimes even before, and then we build for like 10 to 14 days.
Wow.
I don't know if you can show them a picture.
Oh yes, Father. Hold on one second.
From the last year, that was That was 2020.
Yan, ito ba?
That group. Yeah, this is that group that went with us. It's incredible. Oh, how I miss them. And this is
Wow.
our GK site, which is in Dakutan Biotay. It's by the sea, and this is the rest of the families that were doing the work with us. So what I love about GK is that everybody works, even the children, are part of the working people, and also of the elderly,
Mhm.
in building houses. So it builds community together. And
Yeah.
you will notice how those children are so attached, become so attached to our college kids. That's why there's a lot of tears when we leave. See,
How
look.
about this? So this girl in blue, I suppose, is one of the missionaries, one of the people
Yes, yes,
in your
yes. All
group.
those white people. Well, there's four of them.
Are they mostly non-Filipino, Father, or is it a
Sometimes
mix?
there is one. I don't think in this in this trip we had one Filipino American. That's our bishop. Look at him. That was
Wow.
I think 2013. And because and he's so proud that when people ask him, you went to the Philippines, right? You built houses, and he said, yes, yes, yes. I got a couple of hernia surgeries because of that.
So, Father, I actually met Natalie many years ago,
Oh
maybe
yes.
2004, maybe 2005. I did the first couple of orientations for them, with them. So basically, the orientation was, what the Philippines is as a country, what is our culture, what's the culture of the people, like really basic information about, where to get, where to buy something, or like what's the exchange rate, between the US dollar and peso and something, things like that. Very, very basic. And, I remember the group, maybe it was around 15, 20 people at that time. And,
Yes,
they were
yes.
very, very interested and, excited to, for the trip and what the journey was going to be. And like you mentioned, Father, you have to have how much now? It's $2,400.
$2,400.
Yeah. At that time, I think it was much less because obviously, it was, 18 years ago or something like that. And, not everyone really had that kind of money, right?
That's right.
So did they not fundraise? Well, at that time, they fundraised. They would, do car wash and all of that, for the students. Is that something that they still
Yes,
do?
yes. That is so wonderful because that is an ownership. So when they come, there is really an ownership with regarding the students that they really want to come. That's why those who do mission trips are really open to new cultures and new experiences. And so when they come to the Philippines, they are open, to experiencing the culture, the kids eating the balot,
Did they eat
riding the
balut?
carabao, doing all they can. I mean, there is no prima donnas here. You
Yeah.
know, we have mass at 6:30 in the morning. By 8:30, we're on our way to our GK site for construction. We stay there until 3, 4 o'clock, and
Mhm.
then we have a processing session in the evening, which is so important because the experience, the depths of experiences of these children, of our college kids with the community is life changing. They
Mhm.
change right away. It is so immediate. And what I love about this is that the parents will call me right afterwards and said, what have you done with my kid?
Oh,
you know
wow.
they're not
Yeah.
shopping anymore. They are in, they want to switch majors because they want to be in the service industry. And it's swift. That's why
Yeah.
I love this experience. The change is so dramatic and they are so open. to the promptings of God and how the Lord Jesus wants them to be servants of all.
Yeah. I mean, I can just imagine if I know like there's another group of people from California who goes to the Philippines, and they call their journey or maybe their group pilgrimage. It's Filipino pilgrimage. So it's pilgrimage. It's led by Tony Olaez, who was our GK USA chairman. Um, and what they did, I think the very first one they did, the very first trip they did, they took a video, interviewed the students who went on their way palang. So they interviewed them, right? And then they interviewed them after. Like they're like two
Night
different
and day.
people. Like, yeah. So,
Night and day.
it really, I can imagine how truly life changing it is. I mean, I don't have to imagine. I saw it on the video. Talagang ibang-iba, Father, same person, but two different
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Because
And
after
when
the
we go there
experience,
too, we visit the different GK villages that our diocese have worked, and usually, for our first mass, which is a New Year's Day mass, we go to this one GK village, and I tell you, they couldn't find uh, 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 a more joyful celebration of the Eucharist than that. The choirs are all children singing on top of their voices. There's a lot of clapping, a lot of viviality. And then when at the kiss of peace, the children will go out to the missionaries and say, "Peace be with you. I love you."
ah,
And my kids start crying every year. Every year when I bring a new set of kids, my kids will start to cry because they said that they have not experienced such love before. Father Mario, they don't know me, and yet they're saying they love me. That yet they are hugging me, they're dancing with me. I mean the love tank is just so full and overflowing at that one day. That's my favorite mass too, even though I've done masses at St. Peter's Basilica and stuff like that. It was my favorite because the
wow.
church is so alive.
Wow, wow. Father, we're going to switch gears here in a little bit, but I want to read a couple of greetings from, actually from Dan Bercasio. He says, hi, hello, everyone. Have you met Dan Bercasio?
I know
No?
the last name Bercasio. My
Yeah.
teacher's name is Bercasio.
He's actually the executive director. He's executive director of Gawad Kanina. I'm not sure if you met him because I think most of the trips that you guys do are in Bacolod, right? Or are you
Yes,
okay.
yes.
With Tito Bobby Magalona?
Yeah, Bobby Magalona. You know what is so beautiful about Negros is that we have made relationships with uh, uh, Saint LaSalle University,
Mhm.
and we live at Saint LaSalle University. They have in campus. They have a retreat center there, own chapel. We have our rooms. We have our own bathrooms, meeting rooms. It's like a house. It's beautiful, and it's good too because the students are secure. We are inside the university, and Bacolod is a very secure city. That's why when people ask me, Father Mario, can you do stuff somewhere? It's really the relationships that we have built with GK Negros.
Yeah.
That's why we go there all the time.
Yeah,
And
but
then
I've been to Bacolod once. Actually, I was with Lovely, who's helping us behind the scene, one of the ladies behind the scenes here, who's
the
helping
city
us.
of
Yeah,
smiles.
her family's from Bacolod City. So,
Lots of good food.
yeah, and it really is the city of smiles, isn't it?
It is. It is. And
So, Father, I'm going to switch gears here for a
go
little
ahead.
bit. We want to know a little bit more about you, and maybe you've told your story, to your parishioners and stuff like that, or maybe
Ano to,
the
Inday
people who
Bagitay?
know you and you've been friends with a long time. Well, we're curious to know, how did you know that you wanted to be a priest?
You know,
Ngayon
it
lang kami
was
nagka-guest ng pari eh. So I have to, because we are all called to mission, di ba?
bakit
Obviously,
puro
your
madre.
mission is much more, I guess obvious than some of us who are, lay people. But when did you know that you wanted to be a priest?
So I was born in Manila. This I we live in the city of Pandacan.
Pandakan. Yes.
So no wonder, I'm not that. Thank God I am not from Baclaran. I went to Catholic schools all my life. And I was in fourth grade when in Paco Catholic School, we attended an ordination at the Manila Cathedral, and I was one of those school representatives. And during the mass, this was the first time that I've heard the song "Here I Am, Lord."
Mhm.
Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord. If you lead me, I will hold your people in my heart. That song has captivated me. And as if the Lord Himself, Jesus, was calling me to hold His people in my heart. And I have never been the same. In 91, in 92, we came here as a family in the United States. And I went to Benedictine University in Lyle. I thought that I was going to forget my vocation, but no. It was alive, and it's like something burning in my heart. And even though I had an offer to go to do a fellowship, to do a master's in psychology, because psychology and philosophy were my majors, and even though they're offering it for free, I had to make that decision. That was not a path for me. The path for me was to be a priest. So 21 years later, I'm still a priest. Ha!
And you're a happy priest. You're one of the joyful priests I
Coffee, coffee,
know.
coffee. That's the secret to happiness.
Yeah, you're one of the happiest, priests I know, and it's always a joy to attend the mass when you're celebrating mass. So,
you.
and
Thank
I'm
you.
sure we have a lot of friends in Gawad Kalinga who were in your parish, right? Tita Alice Lagman, when you were in Bolingbrook, St. Francis.
Yes, yes, yes. Lots
All
of
of
them
these.
were in Bolingbrook,
Yeah,
St. Francis when I was there. So that was a start of my involvement with Tawad Kalinga. Very inspiring indeed. And there was also a time in which I met Tony Manaloto, and
yeah,
what an inspiring man.
yeah.
He's a fire, on fire.
Yes.
So that's good. And you know what? And the reason why I do this every year is that I get a sense of renewal in me. Because all of the things that we do in the church is to help poor people. But this is the only venue that I have experienced that not only do we help poor people, but the poor people are helping us with us. The only venue that I have experienced that I am beside the people that I'm serving. Constructing a house, mixing cement, fixing a wall.
Mhm.
And there is something that happens when a community is built like that. Instead of an us up there helping people down there, it is different when we are all shoulder to shoulder in building a community.
Yeah. I
Something
love that. I love that. It really is bayanihan if we talk about, nation building, but it really is fellowship also, spiritually. And we've had guests before where they say, I thought I was changing people's lives, but really I'm changing my lives as well. I wanted to make a difference in other people's lives, but in the process I also, it's a gift to me, and my life is also changed. And so, Father, for I mentioned, few moments ago too, how the calling of the Lord was so loud and persistent, right? And I said this before too. I forget who our guest was, but when I heard that calling to serve the poor back in college, really, and then syempre nag-graduate ka na, you worked, we migrated here in the US and everything, and it just came back in 2003 when I heard the one of the talks of Gawad Kalinga. It was Luis Oqueñena, who is now the chairman of Gawad Kalinga. And it was really loud and persistent. And now, hindi ko na sasabihin how old I am because we're the same age. We're born the same year. No, I suppose I can say because
20 plus.
yeah. So that was 30 pounds ago. And now that I'm 30 pounds heavier, right? The calling of the Lord is still persistent. But so let me ask you, Father, I know obviously all of the ministries, right, are important, right? Ministry for, maybe for the elderly or for the sick or maybe those in prison, etc., etc. But why is the ministry for the poor important?
It is not only important, but the church has a preferential option for the poor. And it's written in all her magisterial documents. Because our very root is the poor man himself, Jesus Christ, who chose to become poor so that all of us might be rich in God's blessings and grace. That is the very root of it. Huh? It was Jesus himself that said that, forever there will be poor among you. But when he's saying that, he's saying that forever my face will be among you. Because the face of the poor is the face of Jesus. The face of Jesus. And when we are, exposed, experiencing, living with, and loving with the poor, not only loving the poor, but loving with the poor, something within us changes. Why? Because it is the face of Jesus. That's why I said I needed this at the beginning of every year. It renews my sense of identity, of who I am, what I'm supposed to be. Who am I as a priest? Who am I as a child of God? Who am I as a member of this humanity? That somehow, some way, there is that innate desire to be of community, and in that community, the very center must be the poor. Because if there are not, then we don't really know what our humanity is. All of us are poor. All of us in the face of God, we are all poor. We have nothing to boast. Jesus Christ is our only treasure. That means the poor are our only treasure. They have so much to teach us, by the way. So much. That's why the kids change immediately. The first day alone, they change immediately. And then it becomes long lasting, that experience.
So, Father, can you take us back to your very first exposure, I guess, in the life of the poor? I don't know if that was through. I'm not sure if it's that through GK, like 9 years ago, the first time you went to, do the Bayanihan build, or maybe, during your, much earlier than that. But do you remember the first time you saw poverty, like, in the, like, close, and up close, and
I live in Pandacan, and there's a lot of poor people in Pandacan. But I think in the Philippines, when you see the poor every day, you are inoculated by that. somehow, some way you don't see them anymore. It becomes acceptable.
Yeah.
And so the first time that I was in GK, we were in an inner city barangay, Banago, and inner city meaning squatter area, and they live by a creek, and the creek is smelly. That is the reason why so many kids have asthma, is because they live by the creek. Look at that. That is poverty. And it's also poverty that what you see immediately are the houses that have been transformed. And
Mhm.
then on our second day, they gave us a tour of the people living at the back of GK. Those are the houses that have not been yet built, and the poverty that they have. The houses, animals live better than that. If I could just show you those pictures, animals could have lived better than that. And there is a stagnant water everywhere. That means what? That means that there are feces everywhere. That means that there are flies everywhere, infection everywhere. I mean, humans are not supposed to live that way. It was mind-boggling to me. And we tell our students that when we bring them there, that if in any way or form you want to go back to our GK village, go back, because it's really mind-blowing. We don't see that poverty. I've noticed that in working with 5 GK villages over there, that there is a difference between the urban poor, that is the squatter areas, the rural poor, which is isolated, and the seaside poor, that is also different kind of poverty. And you will notice that there are so many different kinds of poverties that can be found. That is material poverty. But the thing that surprises the students, and the thing that surprised me was this: in our GK communities, there is so much joy. There
Mhm.
is so much laughter, and they are so generous. So for the last 3 years now, we pair our students with a family. So we have 26 students, because there's 26 families in that local GK community in Dakutan, GK Dakutan, Silay. And so they eat their lunch there, and that is their family. And sooner or later you will hear the students coming from the United States, mostly white people, will say the words nanay and tatay. They have,
Mhm.
and their siblings, they call my brother or my sister. you know and they come back with stories, because what will happen is that the GK mothers would cook, and I would we would give them, we would do the menu, and the GK mothers would buy the raw materials, and they would cook, and then they would share our meals together, each with his own family. And I hear that the local families would also cook something, or buy a Coke, or a dessert.
Mhm.
And mind-boggling, because a bottle of Coca-Cola is about 14 pesos. Where do they get that money? Look at the Filipino hospitality.
Mhm.
Some of them kids would say, "Oh, we had fish, and they want me to have the head or the eye of the fish." Father Mario, what do I do? And I tell them that because that is the most prized possession for a lot of Filipinos, the head or the eye of the fish.
Yeah.
That's why they're giving it to you. And it's polite to say, that's okay. You can have it.
Were they shocked?
Very shocking to them. But yet look at that. They would borrow money,
Yeah.
those families, so they could serve something to our
Yeah.
college kids. these are poor people,
Yeah.
you know, and but the hospitality is there. The poor has so much to give.
Yeah. And it's I'm glad you said that because like when I started with Gawad Kalinga back in 2003, one of the things that Tito Tony Meloto, who's the founder of Gawad Kalinga, would say was that Gawad Kalinga is not about charity. We're
It's
not
not,
giving alms to the
and
to the poor because like no matter how little they have, they also give, like you said, Father, right? So it really is about again, fellowship and reaching out to your brother and sister
mhm.
and really building this the kingdom of God here on earth, right? So Father, have you been involved in any other organizations or some kind of mission work for the poor other than Gawad Kalinga?
When I was in Kankakee, Illinois, we were involved with Habitat for Humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as church, I we do a lot of mobilization of
Yeah.
like feed my starving children and stuff like that. And right now,
Mhm.
I'm mobilizing our community here on social media to help out with the community pantries in the Philippines. And I
Mhm.
think we have given more than $12,000, you know,
Wow.
people's donations
Yeah.
uh, the community pantries over there, and there's more that's coming. I think it's because like everything else, the people want to give, people want to help, people want to be involved, but they just don't want, they just don't know how to. So when
Mhm.
somebody leads, yes, we're gonna support that,
Yeah.
support that because they know me, they don't know the other organizations or the other people that are asking for help, so they would channel that through us here at St. Walter's Church.
So we got our work cut out for us then for GKUSA to make sure that we let people know how to help. Of course, they can help with other organizations as well. But they can also help Gawad Kalinga, through Gawad Kalinga, like your group has been doing for the past 9 years. So, Father, obviously last year it was, we had the pandemic. So 15 months already, that we have not been, we're
Yes,
slowly
that's very
opening up
sad.
here in the US. But obviously you had to, oh wait, you probably went because it's January before the
Oh
pandemic.
yes, we were there 2020. The picture that you saw was 2020.
Yes. Okay. But this year though, you couldn't go because,
2021, no. and,
okay.
and and it seems that it's gonna be impossible again this coming 2022,
Yeah.
because of the vaccination rates in the Philippines. But I hope and pray, and I think it's for sure that 2023 will be an Advent year once again for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
So,
people are asking. See, the way this news spreads through those campuses are by word of mouth, by
yeah.
word of mouth. So there we don't lack any number of people that are coming.
All right. So, Father, I'm going to ask you again how to. I know, even if, even if it's probably not going to happen in January, but people are going to be watching this. It's going to be posted on GKUSA's Facebook page. I'm going to ask you about how to participate, in that group of people from the Diocese of Joliet into this Bayanihan build. But before we get to that, let me just read a couple more greetings here from Dr. Jose Rafinian, who's our Gawad Klinga USA
Hello,
chairman.
Doc.
So Tito, we call him Tito June. Thank you, Father Mario. There are several American priests that are strong GK advocate. There we go. And then it was cut off. Uh, he said, a pastor, what is it? Hold on, sorry. Parish priest in Tampa, Florida, visited GK villages in the Philippines and very proud of GK and shared in his homily and planning to go back to GK villages in the Philippines next year. We are inspired and blessed. Yeah. So,
Amen.
Father, yeah, we're really, very blessed to have you, lead these groups of people for 9 years. That's a long time. That's a long time, and we're very
You,
blessed.
you should see me construct a home. I'm an expert now.
Oh yeah, I saw you mix cement.
With
I
cement,
watched your videos.
you're finishing on the walls.
Visit Father Maria's Facebook page for all the really cool videos that they filmed during that visit. And then from Joy Guillermo, she said, "What an inspiration you are." And yeah, so for how can you help through Gawad Kalinga? We have recurring donations. They can visit GK USA's website, GK-USA. You can sign up for a monthly donation. It doesn't have to be like a huge amount. It's something that you're comfortable with and you're willing to share with the poor. You can sign up with with our for like a regular donation. So visit gk-usa.org. All right. So, Father, how can people again participate and be a part of your group in, especially those who live in Illinois? We have a lot of, people who
Yes. So
support
even
us.
though you are not part of those Catholic colleges and universities, we will still ask you if you want to come with us, journey with us.
Everyone is welcome.
Everyone is welcome. There is an application process for everything. It's through the website of the Diocese of Joliet, and we're gonna do this again next year, 2023. So by the start of the school season, by August, we take applications, and then so we can help you with regarding your fundraising for yourself, because there's a lot of ideas on how to fundraise for this. People really want to partner with you. It's you partnering with other people, and we partnering with GK in taking care of God's kingdom. So
Father,
over
do you know the website, or can we ask maybe Lovely to Google it? Diocese of Joliet.
dioceseofjoliet.org, and it's
That
going
org.
to be under the tab Justice and Peace.
Ayun. Okay.
Justice and Peace.
So just so people will have an idea of sort of, the people who participate in this. I know you said students, but are there teachers? Are there other, are they mostly students, but are there
So
other
there's the students, and then there's a group of us staff,
Mhm.
leadership team. There's six of us, that one representative from each of those colleges and universities, and then we are always in need of nurses.
Ayun. We have a lot
Always
of
in need
nurses
of
here in
nurses,
the
because
Midwest.
usually in the middle of the mission, the stomachs of our kids get sick. Or they get sick because they are so gung-ho in working, you know
Yeah.
and that is the reason why
I think maybe the weather too, huh?
we ask them to take a break, because it's a 90-degree weather, even though it's
yeah.
January, and
Yeah.
it's very humid, and they're sweating, and so we always make sure that they are hydrated, that they are having snacks and stuff like
Right.
that. But still, people get sick. So if you're a nurse, please come and help us out.
We actually have one nurse. One lang ba? No, we have three nurses pala. Tita Josie Disterhoff is watching. She says, Father Mario, I follow your communiques with your parishioners, which are always delightful and so open. How do you convince folks that the Philippines is the place to help when there are great areas of need elsewhere?
Yes, yes.
So she's asking Father, how do you convince folks that the Philippines is the place to help when there are great areas of need elsewhere? So why the Philippines? How do you convince them to
So
participate?
with regarding this, it's also practicality. So we go to the same place over and over again, because we know that our kids will be safe, and safety is our number one concern, because there's a word in Filipino in which it's called encargado, or that's also Spanish, in which
Mm.
we are responsible for these kids. I'm responsible for these kids. We want them safe.
Yeah.
We don't want them wandering the streets, of some mega city or some beautiful city like Bacolod by
Mhm.
themselves. No, it's our utmost thing that to have the safety of our kids. That's why we go over and over again. And for those that are saying when there are most in need somewheres, then come with us and see what the needs are.
Yeah.
It's so hard to make an assessment from a distance, but when you
That's
come when you
yeah.
come with us, you will see.
Right. Right.
Come and see.
And of course, it's not to diminish the work that we do also here for the poor here in the US, right, in America. But poverty here in the US is so much different
So
than
different.
poverty in the
So different.
Philippines.
So here, we have our food pantry, and we partner with United Methodist with their food pantry, and our people are always giving groceries. So there's always food for the hungry, and
Yeah.
each and every one of those villages here or towns here around me all have one or two food pantries. Uh,
Mhm.
that's not the same in third world countries.
Yes.
There's none.
Yes.
There is.
Yes. So Father, again, if you're since you're planning to do your next trip in January of 2023, applications and all the announcements will be will start in August 2022, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. It's always very exciting.
And so, Father, any last any final message that you'd like to share with our friends here in Gawad Kalinga, USA?
you know, uh, Pope Francis has said this before, and he has mentioned this last Monday to the priest, and he said that we must have the smell of the sheep, the smell of the sheep. Look at that from the point of view of Gawad Kalinga. Nation building is so much different from charity. It is. Because nation building, wants you to see the other person, be able to talk to the other person, hear their stories, hear their joys and their pains, and that makes them into a human being instead of objects of charity. And when we get their smell, then we really understand what love is. Because that is what happened in Jesus Christ. He did not only help us from the heavens, he came down, became a carpenter, worked, experienced our hopes, our dreams, our desires, our failures, and our search for truth and justice. So come and see. Have the smell of the poor, have the smell of the sheep, and let it that transform you as it has transformed me.
All right. Thank you so much, Father. It really has been a blessing to have you with us this evening. Ako personal joy talaga for me. We sort of circle the same, communities and all of that. But I think this is only the second time that we've sort of worked together, right? The first one was when you blessed Seafood City, the opening of Seafood
Ah,
City in
yes.
Chicago, and this will be the second one. I don't know. We should do this more often.
Of
You
course.
know, and
Give
I
me a
will
holler.
visit you one of these days in St. Walter. I live in Schaumburg. Um,
Wow. You're a
I'm
stone's
moving
throw
to
away.
Algonquin though. I'm moving to Algonquin in the next couple of weeks, but I will definitely, visit and stop by at St. Walter's before we make the big move. And so again, thank you,
Well,
Father.
thank you, Donna, lovely, Chrissy, and thank you to all of you. Thank you for blessing me today.
And thank you everyone for watching and for joining us in another episode of Quantum GK. Make it a habit every Thursday night at 5 p.m. Pacific. Good night, everyone.
God bless. Love you all.